intro music? Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey Star Trek fans, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about a new game coming out, Star Trek Infinite, coming out for PC and Mac on October 12th. We are right at 1 month away at the time of me releasing this video. There's a new trailer out. Now that you can purchase it, there's some pre-purchase bonuses. We'll go over that, but also going to go over even some of the stuff that they've been sharing in their Discord, which just recently launched and I got an invite to early. And well, I'm so excited. So we're gonna watch the trailer and then go over some of the few things like when the game is actually taking place in the Star Trek timeline and all that different stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and roll it and then we'll dive into more. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch this fully first and I'll let y'all experience all of it. And then we'll watch again, kind of pause it, talk about maybe some key points that I wanna make sure that you see. And then we'll go over kind of at the very end, we'll go over some of the comments that the CMs and lead dev have actually made about the game that hopefully get you as excited as I am about it. And we'll continue to give you updates. I got dev diaries coming out here very soon to kind of give you a little idea of what all is coming out, and even already a lot of people influencing like, oh, what's the new DLC is going to be, etc. Obviously, before we even get to that, the game's got to sell well, right? But I am really excited about it. So let's go ahead and watch this first little new trailer.
Create your own Star Trek story with branching mission trees unique to each faction. Expand your diplomatic toolset with minor nation missions, allowing you to peacefully grow your faction. Monitor the balance of power. Gather intelligence with advanced spying features. Customize your traditions. Control your planets and command your armies.
Doritos. All right, so that's the new trailer. You can see a little bit of the gameplay and some of the map and some of the main things. A couple pieces from the beginning I kind of want to hit on. Get through our little rewind here. So one, gotta love my vortex shot. Yeah, that is an in-game shot, by the way. Having played Stellaris, I can recognize some of it. And I do want to point out that very clearly after having a conversation with the devs, this is a different game than Stellaris. It's built on the same platform, but it's completely Star Trek, and I really like that. One thing about here is I like the mission tree system, which is very similar, in my opinion, with Paradox's, like how Hearts of Iron operate. And we'll go over in a minute, like what time period this is taking place, but some of you can kind of maybe notice it when you go through some of these faction trees. And I can't wait till we can start, actually sharing some gameplay. See, this is on the Cardassian tree. Remember, there's 4 races in this game federation: Klingon, Romulan, and Cardassian, at least at the moment, with a ton of the minor factions involved that you can operate with. And I'm sure the modders are going to make it to where you can actually play with them, or maybe the game itself will end up letting you do that. But anyway, a couple more notes here. Take a kind of like a mental picture of some of these. You can see which way you want to go in your route tree. In this particular build, skip the obsidian order, which doesn't seem very Cardassian-like. You get over here and you see the, upgrade the Enterprise. You got specific officers that are going to play a part in the game, which I think is really cool. And again, talking in a second, that the way that ships operate in this game is very different than if you're familiar with Stellaris. So that's gonna be kind of cool. All right, so very TNG style, like almost episode there, going through some of these, interactions and crises that you're going to end up facing, which they said that the major crises is going to be the Borg. Not really a shock there. And then the whole stealing technology aspect and things that you can do. Very similar to some of the games that you may have played before that are in this franchise, but I really feel like the way they're going about it is very Star Trek. I'm pretty excited about that. As go through here, you can see the main map, which is pretty similar to how Stellaris is shaped. I will say that I've gotten used to needing my warp my warp lanes there, so I need to see those. But yeah, I mean, this is all very similar. And they said that the war setup is actually very different than what we've experienced in previous iterations, and that there's definitely a focus on less ships, but more actual power to the ships. Now, I do want to hit on this. I do encourage the whole pre-order thing. Why? Well, if you pre-order, you get the Cerritos ship, California class uniform, so lower deck theme there, but Klingon voice officer pack. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second, but that is actual Klingon. It's not just them yelling Kapla multiple times. But yeah, that's really cool. And then the deluxe edition is going to be this one right here. So you're going to get the original soundtrack, music DLC, and the art book. I do like the music I have heard so far. And if you're curious on the price point of this game, literally $40 for the deluxe edition, $30 for the base game. Yes, $30 for the entire base game, or $40 for the deluxe. Personally, I'm going to get the deluxe. I want to support the developer, and I want to get more Star Trek as well as some of the extra goodies. But release date right there. There is your preview, and we can jump into some of these little cool features. For example, here's your 4 races. You can definitely see where Rev's going first. Klingons, if you didn't know, Klingons. But anyway, let's take a look at some of the things that the devs and the CMs have said and get y'all's thoughts on them, and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's start with just a few quick little hitters here. When does the game actually take place? Well, as you can see in these two screenshots, it takes place during or starting with the Khitomer Massacre. We'll go past Picard, but the actual year itself that it starts is going to be right at 2346. Now, they chose this, according to Matt, the head developer here, because of all the things that kind of happened during that time frame in the game. So, and in the Star Trek canon to all the different races. So, if you are a hardcore Star Trek nerd out there, I'm sure you can think of a few different ideas of what you can expect to see for the start game time. But again, it will go on for, if you've ever played these games, hundreds of years. So plenty of content in between, but that's kind of where it starts. Next up, though, would be on the Klingon voice pack, which I'm very, very excited about. It's actually one of the reasons I encourage people to either get the deluxe or at least pre-purchase. Is this is not just like a guy like Rev, which, damn, I don't have the book here. Where's my book? Oh, here it is. I've got it right on my desk. This is not just like Rev going through the Klingon dictionary and teaching you how to properly pronounce Qapla'. It's actually, real through the Klingon Learning Institute, which is fantastic to me. This has got to be one of the biggest Star Trek-centered selling points I've seen in a game in a while. I love that. Hell, I wish Star Trek Fleet Command had that. I wish it had any level of voice comms for the different races. So the fact that this is getting added is one of my biggest things that I'm very visibly excited about. Also, as you're going through here, and I talked about the differences in how the game is trying to approach things like war and power, they definitely adjusted the AIs. Very different if what is being presented on your screen is true, different than how you would operate Stellaris. Because in Stellaris, you definitely can just go toe-to-toe, big power to big power, and not worry too much. But the way that is being worded here, and this would be very Star Trek-centric, is not necessarily the case. In Star Trek, typically, if one major power went to the other, there was either direct influence from the other major powers, like the Romulans, the Klingons, and the Federation are at war, or some level of subterfuges happening in the background so that the other powers can gain power while the other two fight each other. This is the whole point of the Dominion War in DS9, how you had to unify, and if you were split, you weren't going to be able to win. So using minor powers as chess pieces, I think that is a wonderful idea. Now, I will have to see how it actually is in practice, but certainly really neat little aspect to change how we approach war, where kind of sucks for me because I'm typically the guy that just runs around with a sledgehammer and tries to pure bludgeon, will force me to actually use more tactics for some of these things. But I think it's a great idea. And another way that it is different from Stellaris, as you can see in this one from Matt's, is that ships themselves are going to need to have crew on them, and you'll need to make sure that when you're recruiting through your military, you have enough to actually run through this. You start blowing through crew, you lose power in your ships, and so you can have all the ships that you want. And in Stellaris, many of us got used to just making massive fleets. I've got a 150k fleet here, just goes through, and you have big blobs versus big blobs. Whereas this is going to make more tactical choices to your actual ships, smaller numbers, but more impact based on the crew and things that you are going out with. So using a skeleton crew, like, the Enterprise D in separation mode on the battle bridge versus having a fully staffed warship is going to make a pretty big difference. So I think that is really neat. It's about your tactics, your initiatives that you've chosen as a race that are all going to impact what you can actually do in the game, which I think is absolutely fantastic. But beyond that, there's also going to be, of course, your crises that you're used to if you played any of these games. I'm pretty excited about it, and hopefully you are as well. I'm going to provide a link to their Discord down in the comments section of this video. So not only give your thoughts about what you think so far, but Also, yeah, come join the Discord. And in my Discord, if you join my Discord, there's now a role that you can assign yourself for Star Trek Infinite. We have channels for it. We've got the announcements channel set up. And again, like I said, sign my NDA with them, excited to work with them. And we're going to have all that information coming to you quickly and pronto. So stay tuned. And for all the new Star Trek fans who are coming to the channel who aren't familiar with me, good to see you. Live long and plunder. Stay safe with the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next Star Trek video. We're out.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.